Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you in this daily UPSC MCQ series and Mission 2020 we are taking here. And you see this prelims stage is very specific, and the same way of the presentation of the questions we are trying here on a daily basis. And the selection of the issues, that's very important, because there is ocean of information and we need to select the info there, and that should be appropriate, that should be nationally and internationally important for our system, important for our economy. So this way, the current affairs which are coming, so from there I am making these questions, and according to those details we are getting here the full explanation. So this exercise is extremely important. Daily you must follow it religiously, you keep following it for the next year. And 23rd June it is, and let's start the questions. And PDF I am hoping that you are getting every day, and you are going through both these lessons PDFs and listening to these videos, and these affordable courses by StudyIQ by top faculties. And below the video you will get the description regarding these courses, and you can call on these numbers also. There all your queries will be addressed. PDF I upload here on this Facebook group, and the Telegram link is also given, and StudyIQ is the Telegram link you all know about. Now question that is there, which appeared in the prelims exam also, very important one. It is regarding the working of Supreme Court, because this range of article till 147 that is related to the Supreme Court. It's in part 5 that is related to the Union. Okay, part 5, and there this judiciary related to the Union, that is the Supreme Court mainly. So the articles are regarding that. Now article 142, very specific one. What it says, you see, first we need to talk about various categories there. Supreme Court is the highest appellate body in this country, and guarantor of the Constitution, interpreter of the Constitution, and it works like a watchdog also, and it can do judicial review of all the laws and acts and all these things, if they are according to the Constitution or not, and if they are infringing any of the fundamental rights and all, so people can move to Supreme Court directly. So article 32 says about the constitutional remedies. Okay, so there Supreme Court has its writ jurisdiction. So many powers the Supreme Court has, and wide powers are given to it, because it has to maintain the constitutional values, and it has to maintain the particular execution of all the decrees which are there, and which are upholding the Constitution anyway. Now first option is wrong, because it is not regarding the Election Commission of India. Election Commission has articles where 324 number is the article for Election Commission of India, so it is 142, it's way below that. And second one is the correct option here. Supreme Court of India is not constrained in the exercise of its powers by laws made by the Parliament. There are different ways. There is a way of appeal. If somebody is getting a verdict by district court, then it can appeal to High Court. Then still, if the verdict is not acceptable to the party, then it can move to Supreme Court. So it is the way of appeal. So there is appellate jurisdiction, there is original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. That's a different category. Original means in the issues of fundamental rights, you can directly go to Supreme Court. So that's the original jurisdiction there. Appellate is through the appeal, and there are specific powers with the Supreme Court also, where it enjoys plenary powers, and whatever it feels that something is needed there, and the justice is not being upheld, and any case that is extremely important, and maybe there is a huge public interest also, so it can grant permission to any of the case and any of the court, any of the tribunal in this country. So nobody can stop that, and nobody can stop Supreme Court's decree there. It is the responsibility of the president, and it is the responsibility of the government also, that they execute the verdict of the Supreme Court or the decree of the Supreme Court. So that's the case. So B is correct here, and even the parliamentary laws cannot stop Supreme Court by making important decisions there, if it is about to uphold the Constitution and its values there. So article 142 regarding enforcement of decrees and orders of Supreme Court, and unless as to discovery. Article 142 says that the Constitution, it is the duty of the President to enforce the decrees of the Supreme Court. So in some cases we saw that some contempt was there. Maybe people or the authorities, they were not following the verdict of the Supreme Court. So this issue was crucial there. So that's why this question came in the prelims also, and next year again it will be important. So it may pass any decree or any order which it feels necessary for doing complete justice in any case or any cause. So that's the case, and this verdict would be respected by whole country. Throughout the territory of India, it will be applicable there. Okay. Next question again regarding Supreme Court's working. Article 136 is about special leave to appeal by the Supreme Court. As I told you that it can grant a special leave to any case, any court, and any kind of appeal, and it will be applicable to all courts, all tribunals anywhere in the country. Means from anywhere any person can approach Supreme Court if it allows that. So Article 1 is correct. Second, Supreme Court in its discretion grants special leave to an appeal from any judgment, decree, determination, sentence or order in any cause or matter passed or made by any court. It is not High Court. It is not just the High Court. It is any court in this country, any court or tribunal, any court, any tribunal in this country. So this is wrong because it's not just the High Court. It is for all the courts. It is the special leave, and it has plenary powers here. Okay, so it can allow anything. So only one is the correct option here. And let's see. Article 136 says, notwithstanding anything in this chapter, the Supreme Court may in its discretion is the most important thing there, and for the discretion only they are sitting there, they can grant special leave to appeal from any judgment, decree, determination, sentence or order in any cause or matter passed or made by any court or tribunal in the territory of India. And it is applied to military tribunals and civil service tribunals also. Okay, so because they are the different category. And one more thing, because of these issues, and one issue is of the PILs, means public interest litigations, there also people approach Supreme Court and taking the special leave by Supreme Court here, because Supreme Court accepts many things nowadays. So it is the case of judicial activism also, because this way it is being very much active in many cases, and in some legislative issues, in some social issues also, Supreme Court is giving verdicts. So these are not acceptable by some sections, and they are raising problems against these kind of decisions by Supreme Court, and they are saying that Supreme Court is overstepping somewhere. But that's hardly the case in most of them, because somewhere it feels that some things are very much important to address, and some things are not upright in this country, and the Supreme Court has to intervene there because it is the highest body in judicial terms. So that's the case. Next, High Court's writ jurisdiction is wider or bigger than Supreme Court. Perfectly correct. Article 32 talks about the constitutional remedy, and you see it was hailed as the soul of the Constitution by B.R. Ambedkar, because Article 32 itself is a fundamental right, and it says that if the fundamental rights are infringed anyway, then anybody can approach directly Supreme Court or High Court, anything he or she may like. So it is the constitutional remedy that is the fundamental right there, and it is the part of the basic feature of the Constitution, means it cannot be taken away even by the amendment in the Constitution. So that's the case, because the part 3 extends up to from Article 12 to 35. So these are the fundamental rights mainly, and Article 32 is the constitutional remedies. Here Supreme Court can address those troubles if anybody's fundamental rights are infringed, and in the reaction Supreme Court may issue writs. So this is the writ jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, and Article 32 is there. There is Article 2 to 7 or 2 to 6. These are regarding High Court. Here it has the writ jurisdiction of High Court, and issue is that in the cases of fundamental rights infringement, Supreme Court issues these writ jurisdictions, but it is the only area that is allowed today for the Supreme Court. It can be extended by the Parliament, but right now Supreme Court is allowed to issue these writs in the cases of fundamental rights only. But High Court can issue writs in some legal issues also. So that is the reason that additionally in some legal jurisdiction, High Court may issue writs. So that is why High Court's writ jurisdiction is wider than the Supreme Court. So that is the case of writ jurisdiction. So first is correct. Second, Supreme Court's writ jurisdiction cannot be increased. No, it can be increased. Article 139 talks about that. So this is wrong. First is correct. So A is the answer here. You see, conferment on the Supreme Court of powers to issue certain writs, and it is regarding the power, but who is giving this power? Parliament may by law, means Parliament will pass a law and then it can confer this power to Supreme Court, that in other issues, means other issues other than these Article 32 issues, fundamental rights issues. So in some other issues also Supreme Court may issue writs, but for that our Parliament has to bring a law. Okay, so right now High Court's power is wider than the Supreme Court in the matter of writ jurisdiction. All the details are given here in this PDF, as it talks about part 3. As I told you, part 3 is 12 to 35. These are fundamental rights. Okay, and during the emergency, Article 32 may be suspended by President. Means if there is emergency applied, then all your fundamental rights will be intact. You can enjoy your rights, but the enforcement of all these rights, that would not be possible. Means if somebody arrests you or somebody kidnaps you during emergency, then you cannot approach Supreme Court at that time, because the enforcement, Article 32, is not working at that time. It may be suspended, but it is not automatically. It will be suspended by the President. So President has this power that it can suspend the Article 32 during that period. So that is the case. And this is the issue of Article 32 and Article 226, which is there in the part 6 in the part of the state. So Article 226 talks about the High Court's writ jurisdiction, and that is wider one. So 226, it's a very famous question, and 32 and 226, this combination you must remember. Next, National Freight Index was recently launched by Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. No, this was not issued by Road Transport Ministry. It is actually by a company, a new startup, a tech startup, that is Rivigo. It is Gurugram based tech startup, and it is gonna give the live freight prices for different lanes and vehicles, and that is innovative, and it is for the first time that we are having this kind of index. So it is not by the government, it is by the private entity, but it is going to help all of them, ministry, bodies, authorities, and these drivers and all. And logistics sector account for about 14% of the India's GDP. That is correct. And out of this particular amount, 70% of its contribution comes from road transport, and of this road transport, more than 90% is by trucks. So that's the case, but there is no pricing transparency, and working conditions of the drivers is deplorable in this sector. You see, by 2023 there are clear reports that we will be lacking 50% drivers in number, and this area is gonna have a big lack of the truck drivers, because the condition they are working in, those conditions are very, very bad. There are no support systems, there are no schemes for the truck drivers and all, and they are huge in number. But nowadays nobody is opting for the driver's job there. So that's the case, and second is correct, first is wrong. So you may put 1 and 2 here. So second is correct, only 2 is the answer here. You can see National Freight Index, first index of this kind in India, but it is by a logistics startup. It has its own 3,000 trucks, and on the relay model, it will bring out this live real-time pricing feature, and it will give the historical trends also, and it will update in the real time also. So that is the case, and in two important forms, this index will represent the values in terms of actual freight rates, condensed to rupee per ton per kilometer, and in terms of relative movement with respect to a base month. So that is the case. Company's name is Rivigo. Okay. And what they are using, that's also important. They are using a pricing algorithm and the machine learning issue, means automatically with the help of software and the machine learning issue, they will be bringing out these important data and statistics. That's very, very important. Next, regarding cabinet secretary, we should know everything about the administrative issues, administrative facts, and administrative systems. So cabinet secretary is a very important post, and it heads the cabinet secretariat, and it is not there to head the prime minister's office. PMO's office, which is famously called PMO, that is headed by principal secretary. So principal secretary heads the PMO and not the CS. CS is different, although the rank is equal for both of them. The principal secretary enjoys the rank of cabinet secretary only, and CS is actually administrative head of the secretariat, and CS, who is also the ex officio chairman of the Civil Services Board. So for you, it's very, very important. Civil Services Board is headed by CS cabinet secretary. So second is correct and first is wrong. So only 2B is the answer here. And you can see the issue came when the government amends a 60-year-old rule to pay way for cabinet secretary extension. Means according to the 1958 rules, maximum 4 years can be there for the cabinet secretary post for anybody. Now they are changing these rules, and first time Pradeep Kumar Sinha would set this record that he has become the longest serving bureaucrat in this post. And now what is the rule? According to the new rules, it may extended beyond 4 years, but once only for 3 months maximum. Next, when these 3 months will be completed beyond these 4 years, then again for 3 months it may be extended. So in this way, 3 months at a time, they may increase the term there. During the term of Indira Gandhi ji, the PS, Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister of India, was created. So before that there was no post of PS. Now it heads the PMO there, and additional Principal Secretaries can also be appointed there. And these were the older rules, 1958 rules, and now there are revisions in this particular death cum retirement benefit rule. Okay, and beyond 4 years, 3 months at a time. Role of the cabinet secretary, you see, it's under the direct charge of the Prime Minister. That's important, but it is different from PMO. And ex officio chairman of the Civil Services Board, and these are the functions for the day-to-day governance and for these administration of the government of India. They are highly responsible, because ministers, they don't know anything. They are not that much educated, and they are not that much an expert. These officials who are the civil servants, IAS mainly, and they are running this country actually. They are the state pillars of this system, and they work according to the government of India, the transition of business rules 1961 and the allocation of business rules 1961. So that's the case. Next, deal by Indian Air Force for Spice 2000 guided bombs. These are not simple bombs. It is actually a guided bomb system. They have fins, and GPS allocations would also be there on this guided bomb system. So Spice 2000, and Israel's Rafale company is making that. Those Rafale jets, they are coming from France, but this is the Rafale company in Israel. So Indian Air Force has signed a deal with that, and C would be the answer here. Israel is the country. Rafale Advanced Defense System, RADS, they are there in Israel. And SPICE 2000 stands for Smart, Precise Impact and Cost Effective. So this is SPICE. Okay, GPS jamming is also available with the SPICE guided bombs. Next, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, mainly the issue of NGOs. Recently, Home Ministry warned these NGOs that give all the information regarding all the change in the government, high office bearers, and any kind of change in key functionaries. Then you have to give an online application for that, and within 1 month you will do that. And anything without our permission you cannot do, because you are availing the foreign contribution there, and there may be many suspicions, and all clarity should be maintained there. And you see, they have become very much strict regarding these NGOs and their workings, because they think that many of them are working against the government, and they are running agendas against the government, and their groundwork is not for the actual cause that they are taking as their aim, and they are availing these foreign contributions, but for some different reasons and the aims. So that's the case. So these both statements are actually correct. They both are regarding the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act and regarding the NGOs. these are the conditions that at least in the last 3 years they should have spent 10 lakh rupees, then only they will be eligible for the foreign contribution, and they have to register themselves with the authorities under Ministry of Home, and they can avail these foreign contribution. But it should not be any kind of anti-national activity, and they should not halt any kind of working of the government, and this discretion is there with the government that they would decide about their working. So that's the case. So both C is the answer here, and explanation is given there. What was the background and what was the context? This is also given here. The warning is given to NGOs that reveal all the information regarding all the office bearers and the key functionaries. You cannot change them without our knowledge. That's the case. Okay, there used to be a FEMA, Foreign Exchange Management Act. Now it is FCRA, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act of 2010. It came in 2010. Okay. So thanks a lot. Keep watching. It was Amit Sani, and please go